Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Household Filmmaking. Hope you're doing well. Hope you got over that cold. I am really excited today because I get to interview Natasha Pascetta, who is the director of digital, I believe it's digital output and social media. And she can correct me for Fangoria Magazine and Cinestate. Now, if you don't know what Fangoria Magazine is, it's like the most epic horror filmmaking slash special effects magazine that's been out for ages, and then it went away, and now it's back, and it's glorious. And I'm so excited that it's back for the sake of my love of special effects and filmmaking. And I'm so excited to have you here with us today, Natasha. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me on to talk all things Fangoria and movies. And we are just thrilled to bring Fangoria back to the fans. It's about time. So,
It is, and this is something that one of the things I really appreciate about this is I remember riding my bike to the local thrifties, which is like a drugstore. You know, you get your ice cream cone and your comic book, and then there was Fangoria magazine on the magazine rack. And before the internet, that was the only way to, take a look behind the scenes of these wonderful horror movies that we all love. And you guys decided to bring it back to print. And in this internet age, what brought that decision about?
yes, so it is very important to us to maintain Fangoria in its original state. So it came out in print in 1979, and the only way we were going to bring it back was if we brought it back just in the print medium. Because, like as you said, you went to Fangoria for all the behind the scenes when there was no internet. That's the only way you could get that information. But now you get that information instantaneously, right away on the internet. So we, we couldn't compete with the internet. So we thought, what a great way to bring Fangoria back in its original form, and still give people all of the exclusive behind the scenes content that we bring, but just make it print because we all enjoyed it that way, and that was the only way you could enjoy it back then. So we really wanted to preserve that tangible experience, and we will never have any of the magazine content online ever. And that makes some people mad, but it's also a wake-up call like, hey, you can turn your computers off for a couple hours. You can put your phone down for a couple hours and actually enjoy the tangible experience of reading something again. So it was really important to us to bring back Fangoria in its original form.
I love hearing you say that. And as someone who is deeply entrenched in social media, and I'm sure you are too,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of times it is it can almost become almost like a splash of cold water in the face when you do unplug. Like, wow, oh, wait a minute, there's a real world out here, and it's actually pleasurable to engage in. One of the things that I always loved about having the magazines lying around my bedroom when I was a kid and a teenager was, if I had some friends over, you're watching TV or something like that, you could just kind of leave it laying out and they would pick it up and go, "What's this?" Where you just can't do that with the internet. Sure, you can send people links, but it's like also like my coffee table book collection where I've got horror movie making of books or art books. Um, you know, unless you are making a conscious effort to impress something upon people via the internet, there's really no other way to communicate your passion for something. But when you have things in your home or sitting in your car, like someone gets into your car, you go, "Oh, what's this?" Picks it up, starts flipping through it.
Right.
It's almost like you become kind of a node for the passion that you want to advocate for.
Yeah, yeah, because like you said, if you have it sitting out on your coffee table, people are more inclined to pick it up and read it. Like, what do you do when you're on social media, you're on the internet, you skim through everything. It's lightning fast. You don't really take the time to read anything or like consume it, with all of your mental attention. So it was just a no-brainer for us to give that experience back to people. So not only, have we had the complete, privilege and honor of bringing back Fangoria to the fans, we've also brought back that very physical experience. And so many people have told me that they got interested in reading because of Fangoria. Like these are kids who were like 13, 15 teenagers who were entertained by the written word and wanted to read because of Fangoria. So we're hoping that by bringing back Fangoria in print, it spurs that experience again, and maybe we'll even give some younger kids that love of reading that will last throughout their lives. So, we love the written word, and we just want to spread that experience again because it's still there, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about it, and we just want to be like, hey, this is still fun and still cool to do.
Yeah, I like print media because you can actually engage with it physically. You can turn the pages back and forth. The pictures and the layouts, they're all very carefully selected, whereas in the
Yes.
internet it's very much, just slap a few pictures up, here's the press release, and that's it. And like you said, people skim through it lightning fast. So it does give you an opportunity to engage with it and actually have an experience, again, which is what I like about books. I'm a big comic book fan.
Nice.
And I think that with comic books, this is something I digress for just a second. I work with a lot in film, and so I work with a lot of people who have movie scripts, and they're like, I can't get this produced, but maybe I can get someone to draw it as a comic book. And I'm like, you can't just shove a film script into a comic book artist's hands and say, draw this and have it be the same experience. Comic books are written, the scripts written for comic books are written specifically to that medium, where the action and engagement is based on the layouts and the turning of the page. And I think same with a magazine, you want to create excitement, you have to actually think about how the person is turning the page and engaging that material. Now the first issue just came out just in time for Halloween. Can you tell us a little bit about if somebody orders a copy, what they can expect to find in there?
Yes. So the cool thing about subscribing to Fangoria, you can subscribe at fangoria.com. The experience starts with your subscription. So it doesn't start when you get the magazine. It actually, starts with the mailing process. And it's funny because I do all the social media for Fangoria, and people have been tweeting at me constantly, like, where's my Fangoria magazine? Like, I've waited so long, and it's like people forget the whole mail process. Of like, they're so used to having like instant gratification that they're not used to actually waiting for the mailman to deliver something to them.
And that was
Because
so much
Amazon
of the fun
Prime
of it.
can handle that. Yeah, it's the fun of it, right? Like, the anticipation builds up, and it's kind of a fun thing. But it's funny, like they've just, most people have forgotten that because of Amazon Prime, you can get everything in 2 days. So the anticipation is part of the fun. And then when you get the magazine in the mail, it comes in a little black body bag. So it looks like it may be like a naughty adult magazine, but they actually used to come in black bags for, Fangoria, some of Fangoria's life. And it's that like, oh, I'm getting something that I'm really not supposed to. So we really, wanted to extend this experience beyond you just instantly like getting the magazine in your hands, which you can. You can pick it up in select stores. You can ask your local comic store to order it for you. But we really like that that mail experience. I know I do. I love waiting for stuff to come in the mail.
Well, I
So,
remember, back in the day of it, you get a magazine and then you'd also flip through an advertisement because, again, you weren't ordering things off the internet. You would see a thing and be like, hey, cut this out and fill it out and send it in with a check. And you'll
right.
get, this book or this T-shirt or this poster or something like that. And you would do that and you'd wait like a month and you check the mailbox every day. And the mailman knew who you were because you were always running up to them. Wait, is it here today? And I guess for younger people, that experience might be falling on deaf ears, but it was definitely. I'll say this to younger people right now: go watch Stranger Things and then pretend you're in Stranger Things. Like, find a dirt bike and ride up to the mailbox, and that's what it was like when we were kids. So.
Yep. Yep. It's, and I think it builds, it makes the experience more special. You're getting something you have to wait for. The old adage, no pain, no gain, is truly a real thing. And so you're just going to appreciate it even more. So that building that whole experience for people was very important to us. And I've been hearing from people on social media, and they have enjoyed it so far. So we're very happy that people are enjoying that, physical, tangible experience once again.
Now I'm looking at the website, and you're very serious about the minimal web presence of Fangoria. You go to the website, it's essentially a single page. I love that you have Vincent Price on there.
Yes.
Because he's the man and always will be.
Yes, he is.
And I love those old Hammer horror movies. What are you covering in Fangoria Magazine? Is there history? Is there up and coming movies? Is there behind the scenes? A bit of everything. What kind of content are you bringing to the new generation?
Oh man. So before I get into the content, one thing about the website, that was a very clear decision on our part. We wanted that to just pretty much be a landing page. But if you notice that the website is actually an old ad for Fangoria that was in Fangoria for many years. And it's a photo of the Pit and Pendulum. And we wanted to recreate that original ad for Fango, just to add to, the familiar experience of Fangoria. So we really thought the website was kind of fun. But as far as the content goes, it is a very nice mix of legacy and evolution. So we have deep dive retrospectives, and we also have coverage of new movies. If you've seen the new Fangoria, it is all about the new Halloween movie, which just hit theaters today, October 19th. So we have a ton of coverage on the new Halloween, and it makes sense because Michael Myers has been on the cover of Fangoria many, many times. So the timing was perfect. Michael Myers is back and Fangoria is back, and it couldn't have been better.
And it's just in time for Halloween. It's all
And
just
it's
in
just
time
in
for
time
Halloween.
for Halloween. So it is I love it because people were afraid. They're like, oh, are you just going to cover, the new movies? And it's like, no, like we get that people still want more information about the movies they've loved. Like we have a whole article by Don Coscarelli on Phantasm, which is so appropriate because issue number 2 had the first interview with Don Coscarelli on Phantasm in it in 1979. So it's a very, very cool mix of new and old, and I think I'm biased, but I think it's awesome.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to be biased. It's great to be excited about the thing you're doing. And I think that's the other thing. That's a great thing about the horror community in general. It's full of people who advocate for it because they love it. It's not just, because I know a lot of horror filmmakers. I know a lot of horror fans. It's none of us are getting rich on this, so we're selective about what we spend our money on. But when something comes along that has true passion in it, you want it. You want to dive into that. And that's another thing that I really love about seeing the return of Fangoria. You guys do have an Instagram and a Twitter.
Yes.
And your Instagram was a real joy of maybe like a month or so back. You had all of these great names in horror, all making videos talking
Yes.
about how excited they were that Fangoria was back. And these weren't small time people. You had my buddies at Studio ADI did
Great.
videos,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
people who played characters and creatures in movies, and directors, and the just kind of the joy of knowing that part of our culture was manifesting again in this way. I think that really kind of, like I said, that makes you excited, that makes you want to be a part of it, because it does feel like an event.
Yeah.
And sometimes with this flood of low budget horror movies in the digital age and that sort of thing, it's hard to find things that seem like an event. So I'm always attracted to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad that you feel that way because that's, we want to make it an event. Like the horror, it's so fun just to celebrate horror and the horror community. And the horror community is one of the best, if not the best, group of people. I can't tell you how blown away I am by just how tolerant and accepting and friendly the horror community is. And, it's kind of like a misnomer. Like it's the black t-shirt crowd and, they're all like heavy metal fans and, they like scary things and yet they are the nicest people ever. And it's just so great to celebrate the films that we all love together. Because, what's the point of watching a movie if you can't talk to your friends about it? So we really, that's making things an event is awesome, and that's what we're going for.
Well, I think that, in this day and age where a lot of the fans, and you're right, definitely, for people who love movies about people getting torn to shreds and
Right.
eaten alive and that sort of thing, they're very nice people. You go to the
Oh,
conventions
yeah.
and there's, everyone's smiling and everyone's really courteous, and even the scariest looking people will, like, get the door for you if your hands are full. um
Yes.
and also I gotta say, like, a lot of, again, the fans get to engage at the conventions, not just online, but it's a place where fans engage the actors and the directors and get to talk to them directly and hang out, and they have such a good time doing that. Now, speaking of the filmmakers in the digital age, it's not just Fangoria. It's Cinestate. Now, Cinestate, I believe, is, I guess, two separate companies, but Cinestate and Fangoria are run by the same people.
Yes.
And Cinestate is creating movies of their own. A couple of years back, we had Bone Tomahawk, which, brought Kurt Russell back into the Western, and we love Kurt Russell, but also
Yep.
put a horror element into it. And then, not only that, but in the horror genre, you guys revived the Puppet Master series,
Yes. Yes, we did.
and to some great reviews as well. This wasn't kind of just blown off as another low budget, like, full moon production. You guys got great reviews. You got great crowd response when you took it around. I assume it's doing well on video on demand. I know a lot of people were excited about this movie. And of course, there's controversy surrounding your movies with, Standoff at Sparrow Creek, Brawl on Cell Block 99, and most recently, which is making the festival circuits, Dragged Across Concrete, which sounds like a gut-wrenching, phenomenal film. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
What is it like, being a kind of a part of not only advocating through Fangoria, but saying we're going to produce movies too. We're going to contribute to the movies that you love. And Yeah, I guess, can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As we're talking, we're actually on day 5 of production of the second Fangoria Presents film, Satanic Panic, screenplay by Grady Hendrix, who is beloved by the horror community. He did Paperbacks from Hell, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and most recently, We Sold Our Souls. So he's a hoot. He does horror comedy. He's probably one of the best at it. So we are currently on day 5 of production, and I've seen some crazy things so far, and it's awesome.
Now,
I
when you
can't.
say Satanic Panic, is this, are you just using that name, or does this actually have to do with the events in the 1980s with the crazy satanic daycare scare that turned out just to be a case of mass hysteria? Or are you kind of taking a more tongue in cheek spin on that name?
It's definitely more tongue in cheek. It has nothing to do with the 80s and the 70s, scare of Satanic Panic. Yeah, it's just the title that Grady gave it, but it does have Satanists in it, and there is panic. So Satanic Panic is kind of it's fitting, I would say. As we're talking, I literally have probably 10 red robes just lined up in front of me in wardrobe waiting to go out to set.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So it is pretty awesome. And yeah, the thing I love about Cinestate is that the company is fearless. That's one of the things that attracted to me in the first place. I saw Bone Tomahawk and I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like I haven't seen a Western like this in a long time. And
These
just from
movies,
there, like they're just not afraid to push boundaries, like Puppet Master the Littlest Reich. Could you believe in 2018 that we could make a movie and call it Puppet Master the Littlest Reich and not be completely like, cast out from it? So it's literally a movie with Nazi puppets. And it's awesome if you haven't seen it. It's a very fun, very bloody, just a good movie with great special effects. So I love how Cinestate is just not afraid to push the envelope and go where, the bigger studios might not want to go.
I think it's excellent, and I'm really excited about all of these movies. I mean, generally, I'm attracted to movies like Bone Tomahawk and Puppet Master. But when I read about Brawl in Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete, it's like, wow, these movies, they don't sound like they're going to pull any punches. And I really love, I saw an interview with the director, and forgive me, I forget his name.
Oh, S. Craig Zahler.
Yeah, and he said something that I thought, as a filmmaker, I really appreciated, which was he wanted to present the characters not in a these are good characters or these are bad characters. He wanted to present them in a way like these are different points of view, and the story is going to the events of the story are going to occur with these characters, and then you as an audience will make up your mind how you want to see it, rather
Yes.
than saying, we're going to draw the line, these characters are good, these characters are bad, and the good guys are going to beat the bad guys. And I thought that's not only brave, but refreshing, because we have so
Yeah.
many movies that are a bit overly sure of their stance, and it gets a bit tiresome. It gets a bit redundant. So to have a filmmaker that wants to go and try and do something a little bit different, and for you guys to be there to foster that, I think is really excellent. And I hope you guys are doing well with your films, and that we're going to see a lot more from you.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it and I agree. Who wants to see the same thing over and over again? Who wants to be, saddled with, oh, you can say this, but you can't say that. You can't show this, but you can show this. That's the great thing about Cinestate. We control a lot, creatively and just in general, our products, we're very fortunate to have that control. So, we're going to make movies that are brave. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I'm, it's just the perfect fit for Fangoria as well. Our priority with Fangoria was bringing the tangible magazine back to the fans. That was our number one priority. But we want to expand the Fangoria universe. We want to do Fangoria films again because they did films back in the 90s and then in the 2000s, and we wanted to continue that. And it's just the perfect marriage. We have a great parent company, and we have Fangoria, and we're actually, we're going to expand that universe and give more to the fans. So we're just gonna keep going. There's gonna be so much more coming. It's gonna get crazy.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And again, I really appreciate that, like I said, just in general, that they say the democratization of filmmaking has occurred, and that can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. You guys are definitely putting a lot of quality into your films. I can definitely see that, and I do hope that you expand as a studio as well. It may be that you guys see enough success that you start, I don't want to say cranking out a larger volume of movies, but I know that there are a lot of film fans and filmmakers who would like to see an alternative to go to from your typical Hollywood fare. So yeah, I'm definitely, I just get really excited about that prospect. Is there anything else you can talk about the filmmaking process? Or did you guys, like, so you have people like Vince Vaughn and Kurt Russell and Mel Gibson. What was it like trying to get those actors into your films? Did you guys think that you could do it? Were you worried that they would think you were too small, or did they embrace it? How was that experience?
Well, I came on board of March of this year, so I'm relatively new to the company, but I do know that our CEO and publisher Dallas, he has had a relationship with these, Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell before, so he's been friendly with them, and he's worked in Hollywood for a long time, so he definitely has these relationships, and I think he presents, along with S. Craig Zoller, who has done many movies for us, um, just a refreshing script. I think actors like Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson read these scripts and they're like, oh, this is totally different, and it sounds like, it's not going to be your typical movie. And I think that's attractive in the world of Hollywood scripts. So I know, that they are behind what Cinestate does and are proud to be a part of our films. And, we just signed Rebecca Romaine to Satanic Panic. So she is on set either today or going to be soon. So we have her and her husband, Jerry O'Connell. So that's exciting. It does give you, like, goosebumps in a good way when these bigger stars are like, yeah, I want to be a part of this project. Like, this sounds like something up my alley. So it is really cool to have, the big stars, come in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this movie that, you know, that seems different in a refreshing way.
It's
So
nice to
that is
know that
cool.
the actors are also seeking different material. Not all the
Yeah.
actors are just waiting to be the next action hero. They are willing to take something a bit more gritty. I mean, Brawl in Cell Block 99, if you would have said Vince Vaughn before I saw the trailer, I would have been like, Vince Vaughn, he's a comedy guy, but he
Oh yeah.
really sells it in a way that, I mean, you look at him and you're like, that guy is the movie.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, that's very nice to hear. So, what we're gonna do is, since we're on the household filmmaking show, and we're excited about the film aspect of Fangoria and the film aspect of Cinestate, I'm going to we're going to do a two-parter. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to head over to part 2 on my other show, The Practical People. We're going to talk about more of the special effects aspects of the Cinestate films, and also what Fangoria covers. But before we do, I want to wrap up with a couple of just kind of fun questions. So,
Sure.
what is a movie that you and the people in the office right now have recently seen that you're like, that was a great movie, and I want to tell other people, like, go see this movie? Cinestate movies don't count. It's got to be something. Is this something you saw at the theater, or you saw on VOD or Netflix or whatever, and you're like, check out this movie? So what are 1 or 2 movies that you'd recommend?
Oh man. So, well, personally, I can't speak for all of us, but I have been doing this like Halloween Fango countdown, and you can find it on our social media. So every day we post a movie that gets us in the Halloween spirit. And it's not a new movie, but I was just thinking about it today, and I'm scheduled to post it today. I think it's already up on Facebook and Twitter. But one of my favorite movies of all time is Sleepy Hollow from 1999 by Tim Burton. And it's one that I feel like a lot of people forget that's out there. It was on the cover of Fangoria back in 1999. And I didn't realize what a big role Kevin Yeager played in that movie. And I love Kevin, and it just made total sense to me that he was so involved with it. And if you go back and watch that movie, like, it's just the atmosphere, it's so gothic and just so beautiful. And there actually isn't that much blood in it, but when there is, like, there is. Especially like with the tree part with Johnny Depp hacking the horseman's like portal to hell, and he gets it all over his face, and it's hilarious. And so that's an older one that I would definitely recommend to people if they haven't seen it. Definitely see that one. Newer movies, man, it's tough. I haven't seen too many new movies that I'm really in love with. I actually just saw the like really paid attention to the Suspiria trailer for the new one that's coming out in November. And
Okay.
I loved it. And I did not expect to love it. I actually expected to hate it, just because, I love the original Suspiria. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But it was gorgeous, and I really liked it. So I'm excited to see Suspiria. Um, a more modern movie, I would say I really, really, I love werewolf movies. I love creature features. And I really enjoyed Glass Eye Pix's Late Phases. Um, it is a very unique take on the werewolf movie. It's set in a retirement community, and they use all practical effects. And I think it's from 2014, and I love that movie. So there's 3.
Very cool. All right. Well, those are some good recommendations. And I'm glad you mentioned practical effects. So we're going to head on over to the Practical People. But for now, I'll say thank you to the fans of the show. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And thank you, Natasha. So let's head on over and